Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Husker Heat. I am Andy Ketterson, and slouching there on the other side of the screen is my lovely daughter, Miley. You're not slouching. I'm just making fun of you. Say hi, everybody. Say hi to everybody, Miley, and tell us how was your day today.
Oh, it was great. Okay, one thing I learned from last week, you're not supposed to the Vicks. You're not supposed to use that on the nose or sniff it.
Why not?
I think it's like harmful.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you want to hear something like it's actually, and I remember this from Jaws, but I they do that is, and it's kind of gross, but like I guess was it what do they call the medical examiners when they look over the people? They bring in the corpses, the coroners. They actually, I guess they wipe a little down there so they don't. That takes away from some of the stink of doing that job. And I just remember in Jaws they brought in like the first shark victim and basically her, what they had left of her sitting in like this bin or whatever, and they were all like putting the Vicks under their nose because of the dead body just eaten by a shark stench, I guess. And with that, what's that?
You're only supposed to put it on your chest for a cough.
Well, I guess you put a lot on your chest. You can get it up your nose and still huff it. Yeah, okay. Well, with all that, with Vicks and dead bodies, we're off and running tonight. I had another press conference today. They had the defensive, real quick football talk. They had the defensive coordinator, John Butler, in, and then they had Javen Wright, the three players. Javen Wright was in there. I can't believe I'm blanking on this. It was just a few hours ago. Elijah Judy.
You're old.
Huh?
You're old. That's what I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I'm tired. I've been going all day. And I'll think of the third person. But Javen Wright, he's the one that he's now the oldest player on the team in Nebraska's first 7-year player because he had issues with blood clots. And anyway, everybody goes like, "Oh my God, how can you be there 7 years?" And it's like, well, you have your 4 years. If you've been there 7 years, you were there for COVID, so there's your 5th year, and then you can redshirt 1 year, so that can get you to 6, and then take a medical redshirt, which he most certainly. I think he took the regular redshirt and the medical redshirt for the clots at 2 different times, and he just stuck out. He was the last one on, just really engaging. And you can just tell how grateful he is to be playing again. And I tweeted them out, and my 2 favorite quotes of his. Somebody asked him, "Hey, did the younger players give you grief about being the oldest?" And he was just, absolutely, they do. They said they call me Unc, they call me old man. And then they were talking about what's your eventual goal, and he says it's the same one I had when I was 6 years old, and that it's to play in the NFL. And he goes, and if I have to put my life at risk to do it, then I will do that. And it's just like, wow, okay, and I'm not commenting one way or another, but I thought that was a fairly strong statement, and it was like one of the last things that came up. And so, but Javen Wright, just say he's probably about the happiest guy I've seen up there, just for all he's gone through to make it back to play one last year and then take his shot. Looks like he's in great shape. He says I think he got in a few games at the end of last year, and he said though he's still working to get all his timing back from missing that full year. I have no doubt he'll do it. The season before, he was one of the Huskers' leading tacklers, and as he said, he can play darn near any position on the field. He can play safety, he can play linebacker, he can play rover. He looks big enough to even line up at defensive end if he has to. And so he's just one of those guys that tall, lean, I'd guess at like one of those 6'4", 6'5", 220 types, but with incredible speed for that size. So wishing him all the best of luck. Let's get going on softball, and let's start with the weekend against Purdue. Won 2 out of 3, and it was disappointing not to sweep that team. They won the first game.
Right?
What's that?
The third game doesn't count.
Oh yeah, it counts. The only one that didn't count was Ohio State. It's not every third game's not going to count. I think it was just they scheduled they probably scheduled the 2 conference games with Ohio State, and my guess would be that they got together and said, well, if we're going to be there, let's see if we can just play a third one, and and find out, well, it won't count in the conference standings, and they're probably just figuring 2 good teams playing against each other, just win or lose is good for each other's RPI. So that's why they did that. I didn't see any other games the rest of the year that had the asterisk by them like that. Worked out too, because then we're still just came out of that 1-1, not 1-2. But anyway, we beat Purdue 13-1, pounded them the first game, had a big bottom of the 6th to beat them 6-0 in the second game when we were trying to hang on to a 1-0 lead. And then Monday, we tried to hang on to that 1-0 lead again, and this time it kind of blew up in our faces. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that more, but that brings them to 26-9 on the season. They're 6-2 in the Big Ten and tied for 5th. And just to let you know how where that loss just hit us as far as the current standings, we win that game, we're tied for 2nd with UCLA. And right now Northwestern is 7-0. Apparently no one told them they're supposed to. I think they've won the regular season title the last 3 straight years, and so they didn't get the memo that they're supposed to now tuck their tail a little and drop down in the standings. Now they're kind of in the boat we are. They don't have a very strong schedule. It's a conference schedule, and what they've played so far isn't really strong. So they're 7-0 right now, but they're not taking on Oregon or UCLA or us or Michigan or anybody like that yet. And it looks like I think they beat Penn State, but Penn State's fallen way off from last year where they were tinkering with the top 25, and this year I think they're like in the hundreds in RPI, like the low hundreds. We're still ranked 20th in the ESPN USA softball poll, and we moved up a spot to 20th in the NFCA USA. What is that? USA softball maybe, or USA Today poll. But those polls were all done after Sunday's game, so the loss to Purdue didn't factor into those. We were still 27th. The second one's getting vote in D1 softball's rankings, and number 26, the only other team getting votes in the Softball America on 3 rankings. We were 28th. Here's where the loss hit us a little. Just currently, we were 28th in RPI Sunday after Sunday's games, but the Warren Nolan site updates it regularly, whereas the NCAA website only does it once a week. So we dropped to 34 from 28th to 34th for losing that game to Purdue, and that one did. Yeah, the 34 does factor that in. Our strength of schedule dropped a little.
We're 33 now.
What's that?
We're 33 now.
Oh, moved up one today because there were games today. The strength of schedule is at 61 and
55.
It was 55. It should be 61 now, unless it changed again.
Is that 55?
It's saying 55 now on the Nolan. Okay. Yep. Like I said, games today. I guess it fiddles with everything. I guess that just means we had some teams today. If you go in on the Nolan site, they actually have something where they have the directly impactful games to your RPI going on today, and indirectly impactful where teams you have played are playing somebody else, and it actually gives you how your RPI will be affected by a win or a loss by certain teams. So they've got some really interesting stuff on there. Here's our RPI problem. That's one of, we like to drop in the storylines we're kind of following each week. Okay, RPI, it's starting to become a big deal because we're getting toward the last third of the season here already, and so all the RPI. The longer the season goes, the more the RPI kind of comes together. And what they do is they also divide these games up in quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4 teams. I think it's 1 through 50 or quad 1, like 50 through, or maybe 75 to whatever, or 50 to 100 is quad 2, 100 to 150 is quad 3, and then 150 through 303 or however many teams there are, that's quad 4. Purdue was our first non-quad 1 loss of the season. They're a quad 2 team, so that dropped our quad 2 record to 6-1, and then quads 3 and 4 were 17-0 against them, and our problem is we're 3-8 against quad 1. So, but that was also the first unranked team that beat us, Purdue, this season. So yeah, that one kind of hit us in a few different directions there. Which game did you do? Saturday or Sunday? Sunday. And Hannah pitched that day. And if I was just kind of following along I was just dipping in here and there to the stats broadcast. How did she look that day? The stats had her looking pretty good.
Yeah, she looked pretty good, and then they just had Jordan come in to close.
Right. And I saw it's like she threw 2 scoreless innings, struck out 5, but I noticed she threw 33 pitches and only 17 for strikes. And I was just wondering if you can give me your thoughts on this too. I was wondering if that's why she got just the full day off Sunday, because I get it. She'd pitched, even though they were shortened games, but she still went the distance Wednesday, went the distance Saturday, came in. So she'd pitched in 3 straight games. So it probably wasn't a bad idea to give her that day off. But how did you think she looked? Because again, I didn't see that game.
I thought she looked pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like she was going deep into counts or anything like that.
I don't remember.
Okay, then that's fine.
I mean,
curious
she struck out. I think she struck out 3 or 4 batters.
Was it?
Because Jordy's 5.
Yeah. And then she was second week in a row and third time this season. She was selected as the Big Ten Pitcher of the Week.
And she's the best player in the country.
She's the best what?
Two-way player in the country.
I would say that's probably true. It
came off.
If she finishes out the season like she's been pitching, and she's kind of slumped off a little. She only went 2 for 8 this weekend. She still knocked in 3 runs, but her average was at 515, and I think that's dipped down. And maybe you can look that up, but I think she's dipped down to about 440 there. So she's dropped 60 or 70 points off the batting average. Now, are we expecting her to hit over 500? Probably not.
There was an article that said she was the best player.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. I would find it tough for anybody to argue there's someone better. And what's funny is, they being on the All-American team usually tends to stick with the better teams. And if we end up, barely ranked or unranked, they're still going to have a hard time not making her an All-American for the 3rd straight year, especially now that she's hitting full time and it probably is the best hitter on the team. Honestly, because Cusack was hot in the tournament season. She just hit her first home run in several weeks this weekend, and you could see it too because she came around when she was running from first to second. She was just like pumping both fists. So you bet she knew she hadn't hit one in a while. But that being said, she's still been hitting well. Just the ball wasn't sailing out of the park anymore. And Jordy had 2 warning track flies to dead center on Sunday where it's like go, and it just wasn't. Maybe just the combination of the cold, and there was most of the day Sunday no wind. When there was, it wasn't very strong. And
you mean Monday?
What Monday? I'm sorry, I'm just so used to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, Monday. Yeah, she sent 2 that they caught right up against the wall both times. But yeah, let's see. What did she have? 7. Let's see. I guess I was just looking in the Purdue series. She had 7 scoreless innings, 13 strikeouts, and only 2 walks. And her total walks to pitch or strikes to pitches was she threw 105 through 65 for strikes. That's usually indicative of how you're pitching, and I'll kind of lead into and I broached it in the article. You had Hannah, who threw, even though she got knocked around on Monday, pitched very well on Sunday. So for the weekend, she threw 6 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, only 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, and she threw of 107 total pitches, she threw 70 strikes. So it just sounded like her control was dialed in. Looks like she's starting to strike out more batters now too. I've noticed that the last couple of weekends as she seems to be getting more strikeouts. Emerson Cope only pitched 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, didn't give up any runs. She threw 18 strikes and 21 pitches, and maybe that's where you give up a couple of hits. Although I think one of them was just kind of a dink hit, but you want to make them chase some bad pitches occasionally. And then we come to, who I talked about a little in the article, and that's Kylie McGee gets the start Sunday. And, I'm sure she's working her tail off, but she appears to be she's at the bottom part of that staff. The strength of the rotation right now is Jordy, or of the staff is Jordy and Hannah. Emerson is probably pitched the next best of all of them. She gets, she's had a couple of bad outings, but she's never really gotten just knocked out of there. And I thought she pitched the best of anyone in Columbus against Ohio State. She still gave up some runs, but hell, the flags were standing just, pointing straight out of the stadium all weekend. And, ball, you're going to give up some hits, even if they don't go out in that kind of weather. It's just going to give them more speed, carry them farther. And let's see, but Kylie McGee gets the start. And her and Caitlin Olinsky is the other pitcher. And I don't even know, maybe Caitlin's gotten to 10 innings now when she got to pitch a couple. They had the Minnesota game, which is kind of how I thought they should have handled this game, is start Emerson, let McGee pitch a couple, let Caitlin pitch a couple. They split it up in that game. And this time it was like, we're starting McGee. And she has the worst numbers on the team, I'm not here to mock Kylie McGee or, make fun of her, but this is a Division I sport. It's big kid sports. So I'm going to be honest about the performance not being up to par, but for some reason it just seems like she gets a lot more rope. Like, we're giving her a chance, throwing her in to constantly prove herself. Whereas Olinsky's mostly been ignored, and then Cope is usually the first one out of the bullpen, but I really felt like she should have gotten that start. McGee throws 4 1/3 innings, gives up 5 hits, strikes out 2, walks 3, hits 2 batters. So she allows 10 batters. She allows 10 runners on in 4 1/3 innings. She loads the bases in the first, gets out of it. Load the bases in the fourth, gets out of it. And I think that might have been. She might have loaded him by hitting 2 straight batters in that inning. Another sign your control's not there, but her control. She's always had control issues. Her full year 2 years ago at Arizona State or
Arizona
State, I think State.
Because I think Arizona.
Okay, yep, that's right. But she walked a lot of batters there as a freshman, so we're kind of getting what we saw, previously. And I thought, here we are. Here she is in trouble again in the fourth. I'm looking at the bullpen and nobody's going. And I'm like, okay, we're going to let her try and fight her way out of it again. And then there's batters on second and third, 1 out, and here we are in trouble, and we're up 1-0 in a game that, as I think I've covered, was kind of critical. We're going to let her try and work out of it again. The top blew off. 3 batters later, we're down 3-1. Hannah comes in. Hannah, and to be fair, maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but I'm just not understanding why we don't bring Hannah in sooner, or if you want to give everybody a chance, give Caitlin Olinsky, another look there. I'm just not. I guess I'm not understanding it. And just to be straight up, I'm not somebody that claims to know everything. As sports reporters or whatever, hey, we're not at practice every day. We don't know what they're seeing. Maybe she's killing it in practice, and then it's just not happening in the games, and it's frustrating them. And so maybe that's why she keeps going out. So all I can do is speculate, I guess, till I have a chance to anger Rhonda by asking her and getting that look. No, I kid. Rhonda is great. She's actually a lot of fun at press conferences. She's got a great personality. But this is our job. I see something that just doesn't seem to make sense, and I'm pointing it out. I don't know what the answer is, and there it is. I guess we'll find out next weekend in Iowa if we win 2 games and see what happens on Sunday there. There's no midweek game, so I would think we'd see Jordy again Sunday, and we'll get to the what looks like a great pitching matchup there. But anyway, let's get to our portion. Let's check comments real quick. I see one. Folks, feel free to comment. Oh, Connor, poor posture leads to lumbago. Lumbago. Okay, that's lumbar, some sort of lumbar issue.
Yeah.
Connor, thank you so much. We've got to now that I assume that's because of my slouching comment earlier. Yes. And look who's here. This is what happened. It started with the sports movie pod I do in the summer here, and then it carried over to the football one where Highlander Gunn, we love him. He's one of our regulars, and who's it? Him and Fred Sacco and maybe Pit Snipe Husker. But as soon as I would post the episode, I've started today doing it the day before again, just so people can see it there on our YouTube channel. But I started posting it up, and these guys have a contest to see who can get in first in the comments. So that looks like that was at 11:30 last night. Congrats, Highlander! You were first tonight. Love seeing you if you're still in here. And anybody else, feel free to jump into the comments, share your thoughts. The other two I do, we really get a lot of back and forth going, and it's a lot of fun. Don't be embarrassed. We're not going to make fun of you. Well, Miley might, but then we'll slap her down, and she wouldn't do that. I kid, of course. So anyway, let's see where we are here. Okay. Who's hot and who's not? Well, you see, I was kind of on the fence with Jordy. She only went 2 for 8 in the 3 games. That's not awful, but it's definitely a step. It's a step back if you're hitting around 500. I think she's still hitting like 440, 450 something. So she was kind of in the middle because she went 2 for 8, but she drove in 3 runs, which was the set tied for the second most on the team or third most on the team. So it wasn't like she wasn't producing. Laura Kamenson only went 1 for 7, and she's usually pretty steady. But she managed to contribute. She scored 2 runs, knocked 1 in. Now the hot ones, Ava Cusack stayed hot. She went 4 for 11 with a double and a homer and 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored. Nice weekend there. Olivia DiNardo, and this is just for the weekend and probably takes out the 2 for 3 or 3 for 3 she was Wednesday against UNO. But she kept that UNO game where I think she drove in all 5 runs, didn't she? She had the grand slam and then knocked in the other one. Mm-hmm. And so she kept it going, went 6 for 10 this weekend with 4 RBIs. So she is just on an absolute rip right now, and she's up hitting over 400 again. Who else? Let's see. Casey Hoffman. Now, most of this came in 1 game, but for the 3 games, she was 5 for 8 with 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 3 runs. And I think she had 3 hits, both homers, all the RBIs, and all the runs in that 13-1 game. She's the one that kind of blew that. We'd already blown it open, and then she's the one that just dug the grave and threw the Purdue bodies down in the hole. She hit another blast out to right. This one didn't reach the Gordon Center. It wasn't as high, but it still cleared the fence by a bit. And if you were watching, this dude who must have been hanging around down there over by the right field line made this incredible dash across the I don't know what you'd call it, the patio out by the back doors of the buildings, and just went tearing across there and made a hell of a run to try and catch that ball. And so he didn't catch it, but it was a fantastic effort. I think that would have made Sports Center if he had caught it. They would have zoomed in and found that. But anyway, Casey Hoffman hit. That one was just an absolute rocket. And then Sam Bland has kept her battle out of the slump, out of slump land going. She's hitting just feels like everything hard. If she's she might be striking out here and there, but she swings the bat like she means business. She was 4 for 8 with a double, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. So really good weekend for her. Oh, and I have to mention Hannah Kamenson. She's the bat that showed up on Monday. And for the weekend, 4 for 9, 2 homers, 3 RBIs. That was all those 2 homers and 3 RBIs were in Monday's game. She scored 3 runs, but no doubles. Hannah Kamenson, what the hell? I mean, you know, we've ever since the 4 doubles against Columbus, she'd had a couple more the weekend after that, but no doubles this week. And I guess we let it slide because she hit 2 home runs. But come on, be better. We need doubles. Did Elsie have any? Nope, no doubles. No doubles for the Camenzind family, and each of them had at least a double, for the last couple 3 weekends. So come on, Camenzind sisters, you hit all these doubles. You've set the standard. It's your job to keep hitting doubles. So that's hot and not. The bats just went to sleep Monday, and they've just been hitting at such a high level for so long. I'm not sure what the team averages. In the first game, the batting average is over 500. They went 13 for 25 at the plate in that game, which is bananas. I think they batted around twice on the weekend. They batted around on both Saturday and Sunday in an inning. And, geez, hitting 350 something as a team is crazy. That's a scary lineup. But I'll tell you what Purdue's pitchers had them doing was chasing the balls out of the strike zone. Maddie Ellish had them reaching at, swinging at stuff away from the plate over and over. And I don't know if they just caught something, in the first 2 games and just said, hey, I don't know if they found on tape they will reach for those pitches a little outside. Whatever they did, it worked. And while we're talking about that, UNO game, did I see right that maybe Jordy Ball only let 1 ball be hit out of the infield in that game? It looked like mostly strikeouts and groundouts.
That was a week ago.
But you don't remember a bunch of balls in the outfield, do you? How do you injure yourself just sitting there? How does that happen? Connor, if you can hear me, I want to see comments on
my quad cramped up.
You don't get to call me old when you get injured just sitting there. That's hilarious. Anyway, I thought I saw maybe she only gave up 1 fly ball in that game. I think she only gave up one, or maybe a double and a fly ball.
That game was mostly 3 up, 3 down. There was a lot of hits.
Right, and I saw the 1 hit was an infield hit. So I think it was just 1 fly ball in the UNO game, and then on Saturday I think she only had I think somebody had a double down the line. So 2 more games and only 2 more balls out of the infield. Something changed after that Ohio State weekend. Because that game, you remember Ohio State weekend, and even before that, she was giving up a couple of homers a weekend for several straight weeks. They were saying Missouri was just crushing them out on her, even though we won that game 10-9. I think they hit 3 or 4 homers that game. But now nothing's even getting out of the infield. So I'd love to, next time I have a chance to ask not that you have to tell us, but you guys figure out something, because now they can't even get it off the ground on her.
Yeah.
And we'll see. And now Ohio State's one of the best hitting teams in the country too. I think they're right behind us, or I don't know if they're still behind us, like we were 2nd and 3rd in the nation in homers between the 2 of us. Yeah, what's that?
We're second.
Yeah, are we still 2nd?
Yeah.
Okay. But so, even, I don't know, neither one of these teams we've just played has near Ohio State's power, but still, like a 154 hitting South Dakota State girl hit 1 out on her to send that game into extra innings the weekend before Ohio State. Nobody's, I think, has even got one more than 120 feet from the plate since those games. So I'd love to know what they found out, because it sounded like they tinkered after, or like in the latter half of that Missouri game we won 10-9, that Rhonda spoke of, they got away from one of her favorite pitches or something like that, and then the balls stopped sailing over the fence. So yeah, I'd be interested to know what's going on there. Let's see, what else did we not talk about? Oh, okay. Before we go to Iowa, real quick, couple other things. there is you don't like to look ahead, but I was on an RPI deep dive this morning waiting for John Butler to come out. So I just started looking stuff up. The Northwestern series, I think, is in 2 or 3 weeks, and that's going to be a huge one as far as Big Ten standings and, RPI. I don't think their RPIs, I think they're a little behind us, like they're 40th, even though they're undefeated in conference. But that's going to be in Evanston, Illinois, and that's going to be huge. If we could get a sweep in that one, that lets us move up. Right now, I feel like we're pretty safe to get into the tournament. And I'm not sure we just have a tough enough schedule to move us up to the top 16 where we can host a regional, which is kind of where we were in the rankings to start the season. So we'll keep an eye on that, but sweeping the Northwestern series, and then after that will be the Washington series. And I'm pretty sure I might be skipping the spring game to take a drive out to Seattle to watch those games.
You're going to drive to Seattle?
Here's the thing. I was going to fly. Okay, and then I looked at the route because I'm like, boy, that's probably a lot of high. It's basically go to Sioux Falls, take a left on I-90, and drive to Seattle. I-90 goes straight from, and here's where it goes. It takes you by the Badlands, through the Black Hills, and then up through Montana. And here's like the highway. It's just like mountains of Montana. So I get to drive through Yellowstone country. What's that? 22. But I'm not going to. I'll probably take 2 days.
Oh hell no!
And then across. It's like you go through, Helena, Bozeman, Missoula. It's like I'm just going to be driving through the set of Yellowstone.
That's like when we drove to Virginia.
Yeah.
Ugh.
When you drove to Virginia.
Yeah, my sophomore year. Virginia.
Oh, you guys did. I was going to say I was going somewhere else, and I remember you were you guys were on the bus. Yeah. So, but I'm not going to do it in one shot. I want to kind of enjoy the scenery, catch those games, and maybe hang out up there for a few days. But anyway, Washington's, they were top 10 last year, and I believe they're still there's 30th this year in RPI, so they're still tough. But those are probably our 2 toughest series remaining where we can kind of make an impact. And one thing they have is they have your predicted RPI on the Warren Nolan side. If you look up Warren Nolan softball, everybody out there, if you just want to go into a deep dive with numbers and stuff, that's a fun site. They've got it for a lot of different sports, but it's really helpful to softball. One thing they have is your predicted. They do game predictions, and then they roll those predictions into the RPI. Do your predicted. They've got us finishing the year at number 26 in RPI. That with all the games left being predicted. So that's interesting. And I think that's it for all the storylines we had. Covered all that. Northwestern, Kylie McGee, RPI.
Yeah, okay.
Predicted RPI. Jordy winning the award, keeping the balls down. All right. Hey, no sniggering at balls jokes. All right, let's talk Iowa. You look like you were going to giggle.
No, I was telling you to get to Iowa.
Okay, well, I'm not going to Iowa. Screw them. So let's talk about stinky Iowa. They're entering the bowels of the earth in Iowa City, and boy, do I mean bowels when it comes to fucking Iowa. All right, I'm just going to keep my F-bombs down. Here's the thing about Iowa. They are improved this year. Last year, I think they were dead last in the conference. They didn't get to play in the conference tournament. I think only 2 teams didn't make it, and they were one of them. And as a Nebraska fan, that was especially hilarious since they were hosting. Get to host your tournament that you don't qualify for because you're 1 or 2 teams out. Suck it, Iowa. But anyway, they're much better this year. Currently, they're 21-12. They were off to a 21-9 start, and Wisconsin derailed them by sweeping them this last weekend. Wisconsin, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So yeah, good weekend there, Badgers. We don't need no stinking Badgers, but yeah, we do. When it comes to beating Iowa, we needed the Badgers. They did sweep Indiana, who I think's in the 40s somewhere. They're about where they were last year.
They beat UCLA once.
What's that?
They beat UCLA once.
Yep, that's what I was getting to. Up until then, they had just gotten stone cold mud stomped had a mud hole stomped in them by every ranked team they played. They weren't just losing; they were getting blown out. And then, and they lost their first one to UCLA like 8-0 or 9-0. And then, as Miley said, they beat UCLA. So you can't take them. You can't take them lightly. They are a better team than they were last year. And I checked, and let's start with their hitters. They've got 2 really good hitters, like maybe one other over 300, and then not much else frightening in the lineup. Jenny Young hits 385, 1 homer, 18 ribbies, stole 4 bases, just gets on base. And then Sujin Berry, she's their power. She hits 380 with 8 homers, 23 RBIs. As a team, they don't have really power or speed. They've hit 19 homers total and stolen 14 bases, but in 15 tries. So they don't steal often, but when they send them, they're sending them at the right times. Only gotten caught once. They are basically a 2-woman staff. They have 6 pitchers who have thrown in games. The bottom 4, none of them have thrown more than like 3 or 4 innings. So they barely get out there. These 2 will pitch the whole weekend. I'm fairly confident on that. You have the second one is Talia Tretton, not Trenton, Tretton. She's 6-5 with a 3.43 ERA. I think she does a good job getting out of jams with an ERA that low, because in 79 innings, she's given up 79 hits and walked 44 while striking out 65. Her whip is 1.544. That's a lot of base runners to put on. So I don't know if she just is getting lucky or bears down at the right time, or a combination of the two. But we got to take advantage when we get her. Their ace is Jalen Adams, and I believe I saw she's a junior, so she's not some stud that stud transfer they got in. She's been with it. This is her 3rd year with them, and she looked like the last 2 years she was pitched pretty well. But this year she's 15-4 with a 2.20 ERA. Has struck out 95 batters in 114 innings, walking only 36. Her whip is 1.146, which is pretty damn good, keeping it near an average of 1 hitter per inning. Are those Jordy numbers? No, but that's a pretty good. That just looks like a pretty good pitcher there, and I would expect to see her start twice. And that's why I think we'd probably be coming without a midweek game, be coming with Jordy on Friday and on Monday. Well, that's all interesting. What are some horrible things to say about Iowa?
Am I allowed to say horrible things that I want to say?
Well, I mean, don't make it too foul, but sure.
Oh, well, okay. They're the scum of the earth.
Huh? The scum of the earth?
Scum of the earth.
Yeah, Iowa. They've got corn there, but Iowa eats corn the long way, don't they?
They shove corn in their butt.
Oh God, Iowa. I should have made it a Let's Hate Iowa evening. That's always fun. Really need to go out to Iowa and get a sweep. They're not too far behind us. Their RPI is number 48. Strength of schedule's 51. So they've been playing pretty good teams. Which might be the basis of their RPI is. RPI doesn't care about spreads. They don't care that you're getting beat 13-1 by Tennessee or whatever. They just care about who won and what their record is and what their opponent's record is. So I'm just hoping that the Iowa that gets the crap knocked out of them by ranked teams is the Iowa we get to see in Iowa City. I'd just love to leave there with them really sad. That's just how I feel. Let's see what else we got here. We got some comments. Connor's there. Connor says, Miley doesn't stretch before she works out like I tell her. Nothing better than a boyfriend that says I told you so, huh?
Dick.
They're a cute couple. And for those of you that haven't, what does Connor weigh? About 250 or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Connor's like a 250-pound, like mini Nash Hutmacher. That's it, so much so that we had all the Corn Nation folks that could make it in Lincoln the night before the Colorado game, and ran into Nash's, his aunt and uncle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nash's aunt and uncle, and the aunt was freaking out when she saw Connor. because how much he looks like Nash, and actually made him take a picture with her so she could show the family she found Nash's long lost twin brother or something, and that it was pretty funny. But yeah, that's so when you see when you hear like Connor's comments, then that you can picture it now. Tiger Shark Diver, Andy is the man. That's why I'm here. You hear that, Miley? Do you hear that? I am
you
the
don't need
man.
anyone else pumping your tires.
Thank you, TSD. This is why TSD. No TSD. You're the man. We're just waiting. We're just itching to get to the movies. Let's see. TSD. Harper Murray keeps sending me Valentine's Day cards. It's foul. You know what, too, is Heinrich Harburg, unless you're on the field with him, he seems like the kind of guy to just go like, come on, stop that, Harper. Oh, that'll be great. I'm going to send this Tiger Shark guy Valentine's cards. Let's do a TikTok.
Oh.
Tiger says his girlfriend is a medical resident in Wisconsin. It's not like Chicago. No, it's not. Pit Snipe Oscar. Hi, Andy. And that girl. No, there he goes. Miley, now I remember. Geez, Andy's buff. Well, thanks. All right, shirt's coming off.
No. God.
No, I wouldn't do that to any. No, nobody deserves that. No, so glad that TSD and Pit Snipe are here. It's nice having kind of the gang together. And then Tiger Shark, is John still alive? Good question. I think he's coming back. For those of you who didn't catch it, John did some posts, and that he did some posts on how, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. The gist of it was that we need more money for basketball. The first thing he did that set off a few people like atom bombs was, that you guys got to start donating NIL. If you really are supporting, you should donate. Holy shit. Buying a ticket and so being there for him is all I can afford. And so that pissed him off. And then he didn't followed it up with an article. And you just said all but death threats coming in. And I'm like, geez, we've said worse things than this. It touched a nerve. And so John was like, maybe I'm just going to sit off of the I had people jumping on me when I'm tweeting during softball games. I'm tweeting updates. Yeah, and then they called her because the thing is, it's like, but that was off my tweet or not off the tweet. It's just when you wrote the article, it posts the notice automatically to Twitter, to X or whatever. And one guy responded to that. Yeah, nice try, Tubby. You want to make them a club team? And I was just like, oh my God. Okay, it's time to start letting it go. I didn't get anything back on the thing. I tried to post a little fishing hook today. Somebody made a map showing that they drew a line kind of down the middle of the country, and nobody from west of that line has won a title since 97 or something, 1997. So I retweeted it and said, hey, baby, we're on the east side of that line. Huskers, Final Four, 2000. And I figured I'd get that. You want to make them a club team and make everybody give money, and nobody's done it yet. Because it was Miley that suggested that I should just post the link for YouTube to play. What was it? Not Give It a Rest.
Let It Go
from the movie Frozen. But nobody. But no, John's still alive. I think he's starting to dip back in because I saw there's about three of us, I think, that have access to post on as Corn Nation. And I thought I saw someone do one that let off with the word alas, and as Miley, well, what is one of John's favorite things you love most about John?
He uses the word egad.
Yeah, and we sat at a baseball game one day, a bunch of us, and she just kept pestering John for more old people words like egad. And what's his other one besides he's got one other besides egad he likes to throw out there. I can't remember. It wasn't Gadzooks, but
was it when someone said gay and he thought that they said gay or something?
I don't know. But yeah, there you go, Pit Snipe. Keep the shirt on. You might be buff, but you're also probably transparent. Getting outside, it's like I actually stay kind of tan-ish, or at least not ghost white. But yeah, right now, it's been a couple of weeks, so yeah, you don't need it. It's like the human circulatory system under there. Andy's Waterboy video should be held in the National Museum. If you're talking about, we did a podcast of the Waterboy as one of the sports movies, and we had a good old time. Oh, Andy actually repels melanin. Okay, enough's enough. I'm not that damn white. Leave me alone. Get back to the part where you're calling me buff. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, that's just Pit Snipe responding to TSD talking about the water boy. Oh, TSD, I just got back from Culpeper, Virginia. Talk about the Mason-Dixon line. Yeehaw. Yeah, I just assume that when they see a town with a name like Culpeper. I mean, here's what my mom came from: Raven Gap, Georgia. Let's put it that way. It wasn't. We found out that we've got. I think he'd be called my first cousin once removed, because my uncle married his grandmother after she was widowed. This is like 30 years ago. But now Gunnar Stockton is the starting quarterback for Georgia, and I guess I'm going down to a Georgia game next year with the family to check him out. So
Not invited?
You're not invited.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I can't invite you for them. No, do you ever talk to them? No.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, I can't go like, hey, I want to start bringing people. That would be rude of me. All right, we're moving on from this. We're not having this fight. You just settle down.
Oh, shut up.
Thank you very much. Culpeper, Southwest Virginia, in the mountains. Yep, my cousin got married. Right there, I was waiting to see your cousins got married to each other in Culpeper. Yeah, no, John died, then he didn't. Yeah, John is the only member of the Corn Nation staff who's been declared dead before waking up and shocking the shit out of them all. Oh, here we go. Yeah, gorgeous area. Yo, I used to fly through the Blue Ridge Parkway when I came to and from Norfolk. Hey, sad moment, but it's a good story. My father, Miley's grandfather, died a few weeks ago. Career National Park Service guy. We moved from Asheville. Our family moved from Asheville, North Carolina, in 1977. I think I was like 13 years old, and he worked for the Park Service on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So that was kind of his domain, was the Blue Ridge Parkway. So glad you said that. I still remember him taking me hiking and camping, and it was supposed to be, nice, and hey, the lows in like the 40s and 50s and 70 the next day, and just beautiful spring weather. And that damn night, we go in, and there's like snow flurries. We didn't get like snowed on, but it got down to like 15 or 20 damn degrees. And then he brought along like this camp spaghetti that was just spaghetti soup, but we ate it because it was warm. And then we just crawled in those sleeping bags, which weren't rated to 15 or 20 degrees, and just froze all night, and then got up the next day. And he's like, and we were going to spend a few nights, and he was just like, hey, what do you say to let's get the hell out of here? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Well, as we start walking back several miles to the trail to the car, it actually became beautiful. And there was, if you haven't seen rime ice, it gathers on like tree branches and just sticks out. And it's just, here's rime ice all over all the trees. It's one of the most beautiful things I ever saw. So, we're actually having this great walk back to the car in the Blue Ridge Mountain. So yeah, there's a nice story about Dad. Tiger Shark. That's why I love you. My grandpa's from Savannah, Georgia. My second team. I wore my Savannah Bananas hat to the press conference today. See, me and my guys, we just connect. We're always on the same link.
You and your brother.
Says R.I.P. Horrible. Sorry, Andy and Miley. I try to tell people to be happy for the life he had. He, 89 years old. The last few months weren't great, but this is a guy. If you go on my Facebook page, I just copied and pasted my sister's kind of eulogy she wrote for him there. And this guy lived a long, full life. He didn't leave anything on the table. So we're just trying to celebrate the life he had. This wasn't a sudden thing and a shock. 89 years old, great life. And hey, thanks for the thoughts, guys.
I think he's 88.
I think he just 37. 88. You're right. You know what? You're right. He just turned 88. Still. Let's see. What is it? Okay, I don't know what this. The BRP was like a Need for Speed course. Blue Ridge Parkway. It's a fun drive. Yeah, like a Need for Speed course. See, that's what I'm looking for in Montana. Fuzzbuster in place and bumping that 92 Beretta off the 110 mile an hour governor.
Oh,
Hell yeah! Driving through the mountains is just the absolute best. Even when we lived in Asheville and we'd drive down to Rabun Gap, that was like over a mountain pass to get there, and that you had your runaway truck ramps and everything. That was a fun drive. Well, that's about it, I think. Oh, geez, we're at the 50-minute mark. Miley needs her beauty sleep. So that's going to be it. We're going to come to a sudden stop here. I usually like to keep this one in the 30 to 45 range, but we got to chat tonight. Tiger and Pitts Night, thanks for stopping in. Connor, always appreciate the Miley abuse. You're always a welcome member here. And to everybody watching, thank you very much. That I could see the number of you up there, so we have a nice little crowd tonight. We're growing a little bit. As far as I know, we're your only dedicated Nebraska softball podcast. So if you love it, tell your friends. If you know any of the players' families, tell them. We see them sometimes liking stuff on Corn Nation. But other than that, I would say, hey, check out Thursday night is the 5 Heart with Greg and Minnie. Monday nights, the Monday Night Therapy. I think Minnie's been doing it for John the past few weeks, so I don't know the schedule there. But I was on with Minnie a couple of weeks ago. She's a blast. So yeah, perfect person to be a substitute host. Those guys, I don't know how they do that. They go year round, and
for what 3 hours a night? 2 hours a
yeah,
night?
they go and I can
That's
see
crazy.
it. I mean, hell, Miley. It's not like I talk too much or anything.
God.
That was the perfect expression.
No, it's actually pretty nice though, because I can just sit here.
Yeah,
And talk.
and I know you don't want to talk a lot.
No.
Sooner or later, I'm going to have you run a show on your own.
Oh hell no. Public speaking is my kryptonite. Oh hell no.
What a great way to ease into public speaking, though, is by just that, because all we can see here, obviously, I can see into all your rooms. No, all we can see is just what you're seeing on the screen. That's what I'm talking to. Is like the little camera over that, and
Yeah, I still don't like it. Doesn't matter.
yeah. Let's see. Pinstripe and TSD would do this during football. My voice about every other episode there for a bit was just going like super Kenny. And so I'd have to kind of just jump in and out of the studio, like restart the studio, and then it was fine. And I just discovered that the new camera I got last year has a microphone, and apparently it's much better than the one with the old iPad here. So y'all are welcome. Let's see. Yeah. But I said, sorry I was late. Think of a story for next week, Miley. You're on. Oh God, Pittsburgh made it from Norfolk, Virginia to Polk. I'm guessing
Nebraska.
Polk? Nah.
It
Oh,
says
17. I was thinking Blue Ridge Parkway still. Damn, that's moving. That's flying. Let's see. Pitt's night. Last one. Don't compliment Minnie's hair. She's really sensitive about her wig. Well, she actually has something going on Tuesdays, so she's not able to watch this. She's always apologizing, and we'd love to have her in here, but kind of glad she isn't tonight, because I might end up taking the bullets for that one there, Pitt's night. That's oh boy. All right. After making fun of Minnie's wig, we're gonna call it a night. Thanks to everybody. We'll see you back here next Tuesday. Hopefully after a sweep of dog ass Iowa. Idiot if you're watching, God, I wasn't gonna go fuck you. That's just too straightforward. I like to get detailed in my abuse. I just didn't spend time like I do when John does Hate Iowa Week. We hate Iowa Week every year. So that's it for tonight. Connor has something up there about basketball. Celtic. This is in the Celtics channel. Oh, LeBron, the greatest player of all time.
No,
Second. We'll call him number 2. Why LeBron was 23? Because he's Michael Jordan's his favorite player.
Oh, good
Because they
for
always try to make it sound like a battle between LeBron and Michael, and it's like, yeah, that's his idol. He's
you.
yeah. And anyway, I'm not going to talk about LeBron and Kobe and Michael for another 20 minutes.
Thank
We'll
God.
be back here next Tuesday and find more random things to talk about then. Thank you all for watching so much. Love you guys. Miley.
Yeah.
What's that? Huh?
Oh, go Big Red.
Go Big Red. And as always, thanks for joining me, Miley. Love you, kid. Good night, everybody. And see you later.